Valerie, how are you? This is Melinda Roy.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, we can hear you, but we cannot see you. Could you please turn off your video? Yeah.
Can you see
Hi.
me? Hi, Melinda.
Yeah. So how is your day, and how are you enjoying the sessions today?
Sessions are going well. I'm enjoying it. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. No technical glitches.
Yes, sometimes there will be technical glitches. This is a very
Yeah.
big platform, so thank you so much for understanding. So before you start your presentation, I would like to give a brief introduction about you to the audience. So welcome Valerie Wason on the stage. So she is an inspiring and empowering for over 23 years. Valerie has worked in the healthcare industry with patients, students, organizations, and staff, helping them build their goals, objectives, and dreams to accelerate results that have created richer, more fulfilling lives. She is a brave thinking certified dream builder coach and a PCC licensed life coach with the International Coach Federation and also a published author. She holds a master's degree in social science and a bachelor's degree in community health. She has appeared on Close-Up TV, blog, radio as a sought-after speaker and trainer. She has offered transformational workshops to educational and healthcare organizations. Wow, that's really a great introduction. So you can start your presentation. So do you want to share your screen?
Okay. All right. So, no matter what you're going through in life, you are the writer of your own story. So, what does that mean? You get to decide how your story ends because you have full power to control your circumstances. You have power to control the final outcome of the results you see in your own life. I truly believe this. So, as someone who's experienced the premature, untimely, devastating death of a loved one, I'm here today to tell you that you can walk again in freedom, especially from all the emotional pain, the hurt, and the anguish you may experience that tries to keep you trapped in emotional grief, angst, agony, and anguish, especially after tragic loss. That said, I have a question to ask of all of you. Have you ever experienced traumatic loss? For example, the loss of a marriage, divorce, friendship, a pet, or even something of tremendous sentimental value. Or more importantly, have you ever experienced premature death of a loved one? That's really hard. You know that profound loss of someone so very dear and special to you. Well, I've experienced it all. Within the last 6 years, I've lost several special beings in my life. So I'm here today to talk about that overall experience, that shocking, overwhelming, devastating loss, where you feel a deep sense of isolation and emptiness inside, especially after that somber funeral procession and the burial, after it's all over, where you start to feel totally alone, especially after all the well wishes and the condolences have all faded away. So, this is where you may start to feel stuck. Over time, when your bereavement experience slowly starts to manifest, oftentimes in an unhealthy way, do you find yourself kind of stuck, mulling over your loss, not sure how to facilitate a new normal way of living, a way of life, a life you're kind of forced to inevitably explore a new way of living life without your loved one around, anymore. It's your safety net. Subsequently, do you, like me, find yourself struggling to hold your life together? Do you find yourself ruminating obsessively or excessively over your loss and the pain, the wound inherently leaves behind with you? Do you find yourself procrastinating on facing the reality of losing someone until you finally face the reality of losing someone
Hi Valerie, I can see that you went on mute and your camera is off.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
So, again, what makes me qualified to speak on this particular topic today, the topic of grief? What makes me, entitled to enlighten you about this dismal experience of mine? Well, I personally feel this is my divine assignment to be here today, my calling, if you will, to be with you all, to share with you my own therapeutic journey that I also share with the world in my book. So, why did I write my book? My book is based on a loved one who I strongly believe was lured and seduced by Satan, the devil himself, into a satanic world revolving around addictive prescription pain pills, alcohol, and subsequently other illicit gateway drugs. My beloved was consequently enticed and ensnared into what I call Satan's depression den, where he fell in love with his seducer, the drugs, but quickly decompensated thereafter, spiraling downwards, where he lost his hopes, his family, and his job, and ultimately lost his life. He was found dead on the streets. And in my mind, Satan stole all his hopes, destroyed his dreams, and finally killed his body and soul. Hence the title of my book, Addiction Still, Kill and Destroy, which is a biblical reference to how Satan cowardly shows up in all our lives like a thief in the night to rob, kill, destroy us all emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So I needed a way to free myself from all the blame I put on myself, the guilt, the condemnation, the shame, the heartache and sorrow I had imposed on myself and imprisoned myself within this untimely death. I blame myself wholeheartedly with all the, proverbial what ifs. What if I didn't walk away from this relationship and close the door behind me? What if I hadn't been so angry that day and dismissive of his pleas, for empathy and kindness and forgiveness, etc.? But, surprisingly, channeling my grief through my book, however, turned into an unexpected cathartic healing experience of not only alleviating the emotional grief and pain that I experienced, but it also became a therapeutic journey consisting of perseverance that led to a spiritual purpose, and finally resulted in discovering ultimate peace in my life. So, in essence, my book culminated into an amazing spiritual awakening and a journey to finding a higher awareness in myself through my connection with spirituality. So, today, you too can discover the 5 ways I found to work through the pain of loss that will move you forward to live in harmonious peace after the experience of grief. So, as mentioned before, I'm an author with Trinity Broadcast Network. I hold a master's in social science, a BS in community health, and associate in commercial art and advertising. I'm also an ICF PCC certified life coach and a certified Brave Thinking Dream Builder life coach with Mary Morrissey. Um, so, why aren't we able to move forward most of the time after loss? Why do we oftentimes stay stuck in the process of grief and pain and find ourselves ruminating in denial? Why do we tend to allow anger and depression to paralyze us? And why do we permit Satan to get into our headspace and psyche to play over and over our damaging paradigms and psychological tapes, keeping us suppressed in grief? So here's a question. Do you find yourself caught up in a stopping and starting syndrome? How do you end that detrimental cycle of not moving on? Well, I found the answer through Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's a late Swiss American psychiatrist, and she hypothesized that there are 5 typical stages of grief that we experience when on the verge of death and the afterlife, the experience and awareness of it. These stages she outlined kind of helped me understand how to get out from under all the pain and over onto the other side of my own grief experience. So much so, I wrote a book about it and created a 5 stage of peace after grief course, which is a take on Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, which again was my own personal journey and transition out of the grief. So my book and my course was a healing testament to the methodology I used to navigate the 5 stages of grief that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross outlined, and it helped me to connect to my higher power on a much deeper, intimate level that ultimately served to get me over to the other side of experiencing supreme peace. So you might be asking, what are the 5 stages? The 5 stages of grief that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross outlines, well, they are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So understanding grief after death is a complex phenomenon that is uh, may not be experienced in a linear way, but often beginning with, as I said before, denial. And this is where you're forced to cope with the initial shock upon receiving the tragic news. It's a defense mechanism to help us handle and process the heart-wrenching information as it's unfolding. And then there's anger, oftentimes. This is where we kind of have to find a way to cope with the unfairness of the loss and the frustration. And sometimes we may even experience wrath and rage, which comes with it. Also, there may be bargaining. This is where you reach out to your higher power for leverage to negotiate and to cope with the lack of control over the situation. Like me, you may experience depression and learn how to cope with the reality of the loss and the sadness and the withdrawal, which begins to sink in, after you've gone through the other stages, perhaps. And then finally, hopefully, we arrive at acceptance, and that's coming to terms with our loss. So where do we start to heal? When you don't know where to start, how do you get from point A to point B? How do we move? Well, breakthrough comes when we learn how to, you know, alleviate ourselves from all the pain. You start by, with me, envisioning what you want to move the most closest towards. And then you start taking committed action steps towards it. So again, breakthrough occurs when you step out of your comfort zones, when you're locked in that grief and you can't get out of bed. You have to break through all the fears that Satan is trying to hold you in and learn how to break free and release to live again in total freedom. So it's a mindset shift, and it involves mindfulness, a sharper awareness and precision of what you want. You've got to nail that down. And clarity evolves when you, for me, connect to your higher power through prayer and meditation. This opened the door for greater consciousness and intuition, which brought focus and sharper attention to what I wanted to move forward towards. You have to be present. You have to stay in the moment and be kind to yourself. You have to uplift yourself and edify yourself and empower yourself and find ways. For me, it was self mastery tools. So, my mission is to break the chains of bondage as you uplift God's life and love in the process. He lives within you. He begins to empower you as you then transition through subsequent lost stages that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross outlined. And for me, God began to slowly change me the more I connected to Him in this grief process. And then I began to walk out those 5 stages, and breakthrough occurred for me on the other side of my loss and pain. And that came through cultivating a bigger vision for myself as I began to move on and discover that ultimate peace and ordained purpose came. Hence my beginning and my being here today to share this journey I took of book writing and speaking on podcasts and stages. My journey also included life coaching and getting certified. Again, the Dream Builder program, my ICF PCC certified life coach, credentials. And it all started with a memoir journal. Well, that's what helped release me from the bondages that Satan had me all wound up in. I relinquished all my emotions through a journal that was initially intended as a memoir for our son, but eventually morphed into a book through a contract I signed with Trinity Broadcast Network. So while simultaneously walking out my grief and utilized the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross 5 healing stages, this consequently led to my intuition and awareness of how to employ a bigger vision, that self-mastery I was telling you about for myself. So I envisioned what I wanted to do with my life and took conscious, committed action steps towards it. Transformational spiritual self-empowerment began with prayer and meditation, which connected me to my higher power, powerful affirmations, I am, statements, because life gives you exactly what you believe yourself to be, declaring who I am and whose I am. These are all biblical quotes, and then from there I took action steps, which produced my book and the conscious committed action steps that I talked about. So this is my book, Addiction, Steal, Kill, and Destroy. And in the famous words of Muhammad Ali, if your mind can conceive it, your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. Again, I wrote my book and created a course of my personal journey, and this was my way of finding healing therapeutically. So, Trinity Broadcast Network is a world-renowned American Christian TV channel, and it's the world's largest religious television network, of which I'm contracted with their publishing arm through Trilogy Publishing, who chose to print, publish, and promote my story. My book also awarded me the opportunity to be featured on CNTV with a billboard posted in Queens, New York. I'm not sure if it's still there. And Central Valley Talk, which is a talk show. And other opportunities have included numerous guest appearances on radio, talk shows, and podcasts, such as Central Valley Talk Show and Close Up Radio, as mentioned before. And, my book. So, 5 ways to move forward and embrace peace after grief. So, how did I find my way onto the other side of the condemnation I had imprisoned myself in? How did I navigate towards finding peace? Awareness of a higher spiritual empowerment force, paying close attention to my higher power, connecting to my inner spirit guide. I call it my GPS. And that was through utilizing our higher faculties, imagination, intuition, memory, reason, and will. So I won't go into the stages again in the interest of time. Um, I see I'm, getting close to having to wrap up. So, what are the benefits of being a life coach, which I am now? So, one of the ways is to help you get through all of what profound loss can embody, is to hire a life coach. So, obviously, as an empowerment life coach, now would be the time to give myself a plug and to honing on my skill sets. But whether it's me or someone else, there are benefits to hiring someone to help you get through this difficult time and stages. It's all about finding next steps, finding your vision and clarifying it. It's about accountability, someone to help you move forward and hold you to following up with the things that need to be done. It's about co-piloting a journey with you with support and guidance. And like myself, finding greater meaning and purpose for your life after the loss. So I'm living proof that life can transcend from excruciating pain to overwhelming peace. Because prior to my loss, as an introverted person with extroverted tendencies, there would have been no way on God's green earth I would have been in front of you all today. So again, I won't go into all the slides, but I do have testimonials, several, and just remember, I guess, what's next. Grief is a journey, not a destination. So I just want to say thank you, Win family, for this empowering experience. This was my second time speaking in this forum. So I was with you guys in March in Paris, like Reverend Michelle said earlier, and I'll also be with you guys in November for the Dubai Summit as well. So thank you for this opportunity to be here today.
Thank you so much, Valerie, for the continuous support with WIN conferences and also encouraging our future conferences as well. And that was really a great presentation. And yes, you're our speaker for our past and also expecting our future conferences as well. So, and here is the question from our audience. So, can you share a memorable experience or message from your appearance on close up TV or radio that resonated with your audience?
Well, my life coaching mantra is really, Melinda, about breaking the chains that continue to bind us. For me, it represents freedom. It's based on my own life experience of feeling, suppressed in many aspects of my life, from childhood on up. So my niche is empowerment coaching. It's all about helping. So I used to work with college students, coaching and mentoring them. So it's about empowering them. I teach empowerment techniques to to clients for the purpose of achieving, transformational breakthroughs.
Great answer. And please do join our next speaker sessions as well and show some love and encourage them. And thank you so much for joining. And please do join our day three event as well, as this is a 3 day event. So thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.